Have you ever watched Garrett Adelstein play and thought to yourself, how does he do that? Like he's reading minds, like the cards are irrelevant, like he's playing an entirely different game than everyone else at the table. I've thought about this a lot and I think I know the answer. And it's not what most people think. This is Vinton Poker, precision in, profits out. I'm Vinton, and my mission and passion is to make you a consistent and profitable player in your cash games. Today, we're going inside Garrett Adelstein's mind and operating system. Not the highlights, not the sick hero calls, reads, and bluffs. The actual way he sees the game. Because once you understand how he thinks about poker and through hands, you're going to forever see poker and your opponents differently. So let's get right into it. Here's something nobody talks about when they talk about Garrett. He doesn't play cards. He doesn't even really play ranges. He plays the people under pressure. Everything else, the hero calls, the overbets, the giant bluffs, and the table presence, all of it is just downstream from that one singular idea. Keep that in mind as we go through this video because every single thing we cover today connects right back to it. Let's start with what most people focus on most about Garrett, hand reading. Garrett is phenomenon at narrowing ranges, but that phrase, hand reading, undersells what he actually does. He doesn't ask, what hand does the villain have here? He asks, what hands arrive here this way? What combos take this line? What value hands choose this sizing? What bluffs even make sense on this particular board against this particular person? By the time he's on the river, he hasn't just narrowed ranges down to 20 hands. He's often narrowed them down to only 6 or 7 combos. And when you've done that kind of work, hero calls stop looking like magic. They start looking like logical and mathematical reasoning with psychology peppered all around. That's PIPO, precision in, profits out. Garbage inputs produce garbage decisions, but precise, specific information fed into your decision engine produces outputs that look almost obvious and magical. That's the engine under every spectacular thing Garrett does. But here's the thing most people misunderstand about Garrett. They think his hand reading is the key skill. It's not. The hand reading is the output of his real abilities. It's the result of his talent and hard work. The real skill is what he's doing before the hand ever starts. And that brings me to something that I want you to pay attention to because this part is very subtle. Garrett is an information addict. He gathers, analyzes, and consumes information better, faster, and more efficiently than anyone else in the game today, or perhaps ever. Most players sit down at the table and wait for cards. Garrett sits down and gathers intelligence. Every single moment he isn't in a hand, he's studying his opponents, showdowns, timing patterns, how someone handles their chips when they're nervous versus when they're confident, speech patterns, what players say after a bad beat, what they say after a big win, who complains, who goes quiet, who speeds up, who slows down, body language, stack sizes, previous history, bet sizing and patterns. He's cataloging and analyzing all of it. By the time Garrett plays a pot with you, he's already been studying you for hours. You just looked at your whole cards. He's already inside your operating system and in your head. Think about what that means in terms of hand reading. By the river, he's not just down to 6 combos because he's a genius. He's down to 6 combos because he's been removing possibilities for 3 hours. Every check someone made when they were uncomfortable, every overbet sizing that revealed how polarized they actually play, every showdown that told them that this player never bluffs paired boards, every river decision looks magical only because the work started long before the cards were even dealt. Now let's talk about something that I think is the deepest insight into how Garrett crushes so consistently. Most players attack weakness. Garrett attacks uncertainty. But before we go on, if you're getting value from this video, give it a like and share it with someone else who's also serious about becoming a crusher just like you. Your support helps this channel grow, and it means a lot to me. Also, don't forget to share your thoughts and questions in the comments below as I read them all. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any future episodes. Now, getting back to Garrett. As I said before, most players attack weakness, but Garrett attacks uncertainty. This is critically important to understand because there is a profound difference between the two. A player with top pair weak kicker isn't weak. He's uncertain. He doesn't know if he's ahead or behind. A player with middle pair on a scary board isn't weak either. He's confused. He's stuck somewhere between wanting to protect his hand and wanting to survive the street. Garrett specializes in creating situations where your hand is simply too strong to fold comfortably and too weak to call confidently. That's the exact emotional space where most money is made in poker. And everything about how Garrett bets, the sizing, the timing, the board selection, is designed to engineer that feeling in his opponents. His overbets aren't random aggression, they're emotional architecture. He understands that people don't process a $4,000 bet and an $8,000 bet in the same way. A bigger bet doesn't just create twice the pain, it creates 10 times the pain. Humans are terrible at handling massive risk. They freeze, they start imagining monsters. They ask themselves, can I really call off my entire stack with one pair? That question is exactly where Garrett wants you. He's not betting chips. He's applying psychological pressure to someone who's already uncertain. And uncertain people make the most expensive mistakes possible. This is where it gets scary. Most players are relatively competent on the flop. The turn starts to expose them. And by the river, many players are emotionally naked. They become afraid to value bet thinly. They become afraid to call off large bets. They become afraid to bluff. And Garrett knows all of this. He's not playing against theoretical frequencies. He's playing against real human discomfort and emotions. Now, here's something else that almost everyone misses about Garrett. Garrett doesn't make one decision per hand. He makes hundreds of decisions. Most players decide this guy's bluffing or this guy always has it, and then they stop thinking. They commit to a read and they defend it tooth and nails. Garrett does the exact opposite. He updates his thoughts and decisions continuously. Pre-flop, he's building a profile. Flop, he's watching bet sizing and timing. Turn, he's watching what changed. River, he's watching physical demeanor, confidence levels, chip handling. He's constantly asking what changed. What combination of hands just disappeared from this specific opponent's range in this specific hand on this specific board? What story still makes sense for this specific line? He's not solving the hand once. He's solving the hand every 5 seconds. And this is why his courage looks supernatural. By the time he pulls the trigger on a hero call or a massive bluff, the decision isn't just pure brevity. It's just the next logical step in a process that started the moment he sat down. He's acting on accumulated evidence and not just pure instinct. He's serving the truth rather than serving his pride. That emotional stability, that willingness to fold when reality demands a fold, and to call when reality demands a call, regardless of what it looks like to the table and to the outside world, that's not a separate skill from everything else we've talked about today. It's the same skill. It's the same operating system. It's the precision in. He doesn't let mood override math and logic. He doesn't get attached to pots. He doesn't fight reality. Most players are attached to the past. Garrett is attached to the truth. Now let's talk about where his edge really grows the most. Deep stacks. A lot of pros are excellent at 100 big blinds deep poker. Garrett is exceptional at 200, 300, 500 big blinds deep. And the reason is simple. Shallow stacks reward cards. Deep stacks reward thinkers. And that's where Garrett lives. At depth, hand reading becomes even more important because there are more streets to gather information. Thin value becomes possible because the implied odds justify it. Bluffing becomes more credible because the story has more room to develop. Bet sizing becomes an exponentially more powerful weapon because the numbers get big enough to create real emotional pressure. Every single edge we've talked about, the information gathering, the uncertainty engineering, the continuous updating, all of it gets magnified as stacks deepen. His edge doesn't just survive at depth, it compounds as depth of stacks deepen. And then there is patience. People remember the huge plays and miss how much waiting he does. He's willing to fold for hours. He doesn't feel entitled to action. He doesn't need to make something happen right now. His patience is predatory, like a lion waiting in tall grass, because he trusts that opportunities will come. And when one arrives, he attacks with everything he's got. Here's the hidden secret I want to leave you with. The reason Garrett's play looks supernatural isn't because he's a better card player. It's because he isn't really playing cards. He's playing people under pressure. And he has spent years building a decision-making machine that runs on information rather than instinct. His hero calls aren't magic. The giant bluffs aren't brevity. They're the output of a process that started the moment he sat down and never stopped. Consistent winners don't separate themselves through brilliance. As I wrote in The Poker Delusion, they separate themselves through discipline, through precise, logical inputs, through refusing to let mood override math. That's Pipo, and Garrett lives it at the highest levels. So for your next session, stop asking, what hand do I have? And start asking, what range does the villain have, and how does this particular player play that range? Watch the game when you're not in hands without ever looking at your phone. Study every player. Ask yourself, who hates folding? Who is afraid? Who gets emotional after a loss? Who's protecting their buy-in? Who's gambling? Who wants to look good at the table? Who is afraid of looking stupid? Those answers are where the money lives. Now, if you want to build this kind of thinking into your actual game, I want to tell you about 2 ways I can directly help you. First, the Delusion Killer Masterclass, my 292 lesson program built entirely around the disciplined, logical decision-making thinking process we've been talking about today. Dozens and dozens of you have joined the program, and I'm genuinely impressed by your dedication and your progress. We cover hand reading, bet sizing, exploitative adjustments, bankroll psychology, the math behind consistent, profitable play, and much, much, much more. If you're serious about becoming the kind of player who crushes consistently, this is the program for you. Go to vintonpoker.com/course to learn more. The link is in the description below. And if you want to work with me directly, I offer a free introductory coaching session. Just reach out to me on WhatsApp. The link for that is also in the description below. We'll look at your game together, identify the biggest leaks, and figure out exactly where the money is being left on the table. No pressure, no pitch, just poker. A lot of my students started exactly this way and are now crushing the very games that they used to bleed in consistently. And if you want to go even deeper and continue leveling up your game, check out this next video right here. And as always, I'm your friend Vinton. GG.